بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بسورة من مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. May his peace and blessings be upon the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household followers, and all those who follow the path of Allah to the day of judgment. We welcome you to our series on Towards Understanding Islam. This time we'll be looking at what makes Islam unique. And we'll be doing the presentation in the light of the following points. Of course, an introduction, and then characteristics of the uniqueness of Islam, and then a conclusion. The word unique means that there is something special with what is being talked about. Therefore, when we say or we ask what makes Islam unique, then we are asking the question against the background of the qualities, the characteristics that this religion carries, and make it extremely different from all other religions. For us to establish a very sound case for the uniqueness of Islam, we'll take ourselves all the way to the story of Abu Bakr Siddiq, the closest friend and companion of the Prophet of Mercy. The Prophet was given the permission to embark on Hijrah, migration from Mecca to Medina, for the spread of Islam. His companion on the journey was Abu Bakr Siddiq. Strategically, Medina, towards which the Prophet was migrating, lied and continues to lie in the northern part of Mecca. But strategically, instead of heading towards Medina, northwards, the Prophet moved towards the south as if he was going to Yemen. Strategically again, he decided to spend some few days in a cave popularly known as the Cave of Thawr, of course, with the companionship of his closest friend and brother, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. May Allah be pleased with him. The Prophet decided to hide in the Cave of Thawr with Abu Bakr because Quraysh has set in motion missions to look for the two. In the Cave of Thawr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intervened to protect them in a very unique manner. But while in there, Quraysh, or the groups that had been set in motion to look for the two individuals, found their way to the entrance to the cave in which the Prophet and Abu Bakr had taken refuge. While in the cave, Abu Bakr could see the lights of the infidels who were standing in front of the entrance to the cave. And Abu Bakr exhibited signs of sadness, signs of sorrowfulness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he appropriately informed Abu Bakr. And that text in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah said, "La tahzan, inna Allah ma'ana." That never become sad or worried, for Allah is with us. This is a Quranic text revealed to the Prophet, and the Prophet appropriately informed Abu Bakr Siddiq. When Abu Bakr was informed about the fact that he should be emboldened by the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was with them, and that he should not be knocked down by the circumstances that they were going through, and that the Almighty will come to their aid and help them out. But later, still in the cave, Abu Bakr indicated to the Prophet why he was exhibiting signs of sadness. And the statement that Abu Bakr is going to make forms the ground and the foundation for our presentation on the uniqueness of Islam. Abu Bakr said, "I am sad because if you are arrested," that he was addressing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that if you are arrested and killed by the infidels, mankind will remain in darkness till the end of time. I repeat, Abu Bakr said, if you were arrested and killed by the infidels, mankind will remain in darkness, in a perpetual state of ignorance, till the end of time. The question then is, what is so special and unique about this religion which prompted Abu Bakr to make this wonderful statement? Abu Bakr said, if the Prophet were to be killed, mankind will remain in darkness. It means that he had brought a unique light that mankind will need till the end of time. What are the things in Islam that make this great religion of Allah totally different from other religions? Point number one on the uniqueness of Islam. On the creator, on the sustainer, on the cherisher, on the protector of man. I want to mention only two things about the creator. That Islam stands out, uniquely distinct from all other religions. Number one, under this distinctive quality about the creator, but for Islam, the oneness of Allah would have gotten lost. You watch across the world, over 7 billion people occupy the earth, and thousands of religions are followed by people. If you reflect on the ideological direction of all the religions that are known, you will discover that it is only Islam that speaks about the oneness of Allah. It is only Islam that says that Allah is one and uniquely one. This is distinctly expressed by Quran chapter 112. Allah says, Kul huwa Allahu ahad. That say, He, Allah, is one. Very straightforward, simple language. Putting across a great dogma. And if we even reflect on the linguistic connotations of the word ahad, which stands for one, Imam Sha'arawi says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the word which cannot be divided and which does not have any plural. The word ahad in Arabic language is indivisible. I'm saying it's indivisible because in Arabic language we have singular, and then we have duality, and then we have plural. So for example, if you say walad, which means boy, that is singular. The dual, two boys, is waladan. And then the plural is awlad. Of course, English language does not have that. English language has only singular and plural. But Arabic has singular, duality, and the plural. So Sha'arawi is saying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the way that is unique to express His oneness. So, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say, He, Allah, is one. The ahad which is expressing the oneness is indivisible. You can divide it into two, and it has no plural. And again, in many verses of the Quran, the book strongly argues that there is only one Lord in control. And Quran chapter 21 states, لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا. That if there had been gods in control of the heavens and the earth, if there had been different gods, there would have been confusion. But the order we see, day following night, the sun appearing from the east and settling in the west, the order we see in creation simply indicates that there is only one Lord in control. Give yourself the scenario of having two gods, one responsible for the sky and one responsible for the earth. If the one responsible for the sky decides to bring down rain, and the one on the earth says that I'm not ready to receive the rain, you can see the kind of confusion that will occur. The occupants of the earth are going to be at the receiving end of that confusion and conflict. Indeed, some scholars have been fascinated by the unique monotheistic belief system of Islam. For example, let me give you just about 2 or 3 of them. In the early 70s, there was a pastor, a Catholic pastor, who used to preach in Kumasi, and at some point he would step on the Quran out of envy, hatred, and respite and spite. Then Muslim scholars, imams, reported him to the then Bishop of Kumasi for the Catholics, Archbishop Akwesisapo. When the young man was reported to him, the bishop said, One, we had not sent him to do that dirty job. And then two, I, Bishop Savo, if I want to do research on the oneness of Allah, it is the Quran that I rely upon. This is a man heading the Catholic Church at the time in Kumasi. His book is the Bible. But on the oneness of Allah, he is saying that the Quran is unique. The book of Islam is unique. And that he, the bishop, if he wanted to research into the oneness of Allah and know Allah properly, he relies on the Quran. And then Philip K. Hitti, a Christian Arab, in his book, History of the Arabs, says that of the three Abrahamic religions, that is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, these three religions are supposed to have come from the same source. But the faith of Allah, which was carried by Judaism on the oneness of Allah, was tainted with ascribing physical situation to the Almighty. So when you go into Exodus, Jeremiah, Genesis, and the rest, you'll find human descriptions being given to the Almighty. So they flopped. Christianity followed. They also started with the oneness of Allah. Then they brought in one of the most controversial and confusing dogma, that God had come down in the form of a human being. And I always pose the question, when Jesus, who they claim to be God, was in the womb of Maryam, who was taking care of the heavens and the earth? So the two religions, which in addition to Islam are considered to be Abrahamic religions, two of them have tainted, they have added death and thought to the oneness of Allah. So Hitti says that of the three monotheistic religions, Abrahamic religions, Islam stands out pure, unique, with its pristine monotheistic belief system. That is, with its insistence on one Almighty, one God. The use of Islam brings the last surprise. In 78, Yusuf Islam, who was then known as Cat Stevens, had been afflicted with tuberculosis. Then he asked his elder brother to get him a copy of the Quran. He opened Quran chapter 114, Quran chapter 112, which reads, which I've just quoted the first verse. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say, He, Allah, is one. Then Cat Stevens reflected on this text and said this statement straightforwardly talks about Allah in a very simple, unambiguous language, and therefore I'll accept Islam. Point number 2. On Allah, I said I'm going to deal with His oneness. And the second thing I want to deal with is His power. You will never find on the surface of the earth any religion that portrays the power of Allah like Islam. In Islamic Tawheed, the power of Allah is divided into 3. Even though in my own research, I have added a 4th one, which I will soon explain. The three that is known in Tawheed. One is Izzatul Khalq, the power to create. It means he is the creator of the heavens and earth and everything. Though the things that we know and those that we do not know, he is the creator. So that power is called Izzatul Khalq, the power to create. Then another component of his power is Izzatul Imtina, the power to protect. And the third one is Izzatul Qahr, the power to destroy. I'll be dealing more with the power to destroy because I want to make a case for the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala huwa al-awwal wal-akhir. He is the beginning, the first and the last. He used his power yesterday. He's using it today and he'll continue to use it tomorrow. And therefore, after I have explained what I have added to these three, I will be laying more emphasis on his power to destroy. The fourth one, which through research we have humbly added, is Izzatul Tanzim, the power to organize. Organization deals with order. Organization deals with systematic arrangement. And I'm saying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the supreme organizer of the universe. Let me just give only one example. Look at the balance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in the use of gases for plants and human beings. Human beings breathe in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Plants breathe in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. So the oxygen, which is continuously needed by human beings, is given out by plants. And the carbon dioxide, which is needed by plants, is also given out by human beings. My beloved brother and sister, don't you see a unique balance here? So plants continue to have their carbon dioxide and human beings continue to have their oxygen. But I said I would like to deal more with the power, the destructive power of Allah. I don't want to bore you on with the story of Pharaoh, because I'm going to deal with two recent instances in our time for us to know the operational power of Allah. Quran in chapter 6 verse 18 says, وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala possesses destructive power over his servants. That is a categorical statement. There is no doubt about it. And then in Quran chapter 40 verse 16, in the account of Abu Huraira, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy everything, expressing or using his destructive power to put to death everything he had created. And because, including the angels anyway, and because nobody will be around to answer the question of Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after destroying everything, according to the account narrated by Abu Huraira, Allah will put, nobody will be there to answer the question that will be posed by Allah. So Allah would ask, لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمِ, that is, to whom belong the power, the dominion of control? There wouldn't be anybody. You and I will be dead. The angels will be dead. All animals will be dead. Everything Allah created had been destroyed. So who would answer? So the Almighty himself will say, will provide the answer for the question. So he will say, Lillahi al-wahid al-qahhar. The dominion, control belongs to the Almighty, Allah, who is one and then very, very destructive, that he has the power to destroy. As an expression of his destructive powers, you would find in the past, from time to time, bringing into submission people who would disobey him. On top of the list is Pharaoh. Pharaoh in history was the only human being who claimed to have created the heavens and the earth and everything. According to the Quran, he said, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. I am your Lord the Most High. And beneath the palace of Pharaoh ran rivers. And he said, وَهَذِهِ الْأَنْهَارُ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِي أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. And these rivers that are running under my palace, don't you see that I'm the overall boss? Then Allah put in motion his destructive powers. Pharaoh is going to be subdued. Pharaoh is to be destroyed. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in his own infinite wisdom, decided to salvage the situation in which the Israelites were. They were being persecuted and killed by Pharaoh and his followers. And Moses was to lead the pack. The story is a very long one. It is in Surah Al-Araf. It is in Surah Yunus. When he got to the sea, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed Moses to hit the sea with a stick. And as the story is known to all of you, the sea broke into two and a motorway was in there. The Israelites went through it. Pharaoh and his followers saw the motorway, but they had forgotten of one reality. And the reality was that that motorway could only be enjoyed by people who had submitted to the Almighty at the time. Pharaoh had not submitted. Pharaoh has shown intransigence and disobedience to the Almighty, and therefore did not deserve to enjoy the motorway and passage through it. But of course, in his state of ignorance, this had not dawned on him. So he thought he could also enjoy it with his followers. So he said, let's move on. That is the motorway. Let's pursue them. When he got into the motorway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through his destructive powers, instructed the sea to close up, and Pharaoh and his followers were drowned up. Then Allah, using his destructive power, brought Pharaoh into submission. Then he cried, according to Quran chapter 10, that I now believe in the one that was believed by the Israelites, and that I'm one of those who have submitted. Submission is only accepted in a situation of the proper exercise of freedom. That when you are free and you have power, you have the world at your disposal, and you submit, that is the time that Allah accepts the submission. But not at the time that after you had misbehaved, you have done all the bad things in life. Now that you are in a state of difficulty, you are caught up now. It is now that you are telling the Creator, I have submitted to you. That is not submission. Finally, he was destroyed. So Allah responded, Al-an. Now, it is now that you are submitting, it's too late. Allahu Akbar. Pharaoh, it's too late for you, man. It's too late. The opportunity is lost, long gone. This is story, very touching story of the past. But Allah is still exercising his power all the time, destructive power all the time, bringing human beings into submission. But only those who have the ability to reflect and who give thought, who see the power of Allah at work. In our time, let me give only 2 instances. In December 2004, at the seashore of Indonesia, across India, along the coast, prostitutes were there naked, men and women, doing their stupid things. And they saw in the middle of the sea that the sea had turned black, and the waves had increased in velocity, in movement, heading towards them. They thought it was the normal way because in their state of enjoyment, reason was not working. So they moved. They were doing their own thing along the coast, and the waves were moving towards them. And then, not knowing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had caused a volcanic reaction or action to happen beneath the sea. And the fire in the volcanic reaction or action had turned the color of the seawater into black and was moving in waves very, 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 very seriously at a speed, if you wish you can say the speed of light. And these prostitutes were still enjoying themselves. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a twinkle of an eye, swept all of them. The waves entering into the city that was closed, destroying every single building that came its way, except a mosque and a 2-year-old child who was spared. That is the power of Allah at work, my beloved brothers and sisters. Then in August 2005, Hurricane Katrina, huge waves starting all the way from Cuba. And the angels were carrying the waves. They do the work for Allah. They were carrying the waves. The waves started from Cuba, but Cuba was spared. Cuba was spared. Cuba was not touched because that was not the target. So the waves moved through New York, through Washington, the East Coast, all the way to the hinterland, New Orleans, to destroy and kill over 10,000 people. This was a country that is a leader in technology, that is a leader in military might. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought this country into submission. And BBC carried it very rightly that the day mighty America fell. Even though I'm impressed with the hard-working spirit of the Americans, but the politicians should realize that Allah's power is always at work. New Orleans was hit. Over 10,000 people were killed by Hurricane Katrina. And who were those killed? And New Orleans is noted for what? New Orleans is noted for lesbians and homosexuals. That is the center of lesbians and homosexuals in America. So as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was bringing it to our notice that he was dissatisfied with that obnoxious act, and that he was destroying those people for others to learn lessons from. So straight all the way into New Orleans, killing the homosexuals and the lesbians. That is the power of Allah at work. And then finally, another tsunami, January 2011, hitting another technologically advanced country, Japan. And since then, Japan has not been on her feet. All these these things that are happening in our time are to be given attention and reflection for us to know that when Allah says, that He has power over His servants. Be careful, and I have to be careful. Point number 2 that makes Islam unique is that it is the only religion on earth that possesses an unadulterated book. The book of Islam, Al-Quran, not a single letter has been changed. It was the only book. I don't want to talk much about it here because I'll be doing another presentation on the Quran, a living miracle. But what I want to say here is that this book is unique, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His infinite wisdom has preserved it, protected it, because it is a promise. In Quran 15:9 He says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Verily, we have brought down this book of remembrance, the Quran, and we will definitely protect it. And this book is protected by Allah through 2 means. The first book, document coming from the Almighty, which was revealed and written at the same time. So the art of writing has been used to preserve it. So you go to China, it's the same Quran. You go to Malaysia, it's the same Quran. Go to Mecca, it's the same Quran. Come to my beloved country, Ghana, it's the same Al-Quran. No single letter or word changes from one another. It has been preserved over centuries. And then again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given it 2 names. The names are many, but 2 are prominent. Al-Quran, the name Al-Quran, according to Dr. Abdullah Darras, it comes from the root qara'a yaqra'u Qur'anan aw qira'atan. From the root to read. And when you read, the end result is that you memorize. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used human beings to preserve the book. So this whole document, an encyclopedia of over 6,000 verses, are memorized by millions of people. What is even wonderful about it is that even in countries where people do not understand Arabic, they still memorize this book. You go to Pakistan, you have over 1 million children who have committed the entire book into memory. The same goes with India, Malaysia. These are non-Arab countries. Come to my country, Ghana. Hundreds have memorized the book. So the book is preserved in the hearts of human beings. And then again, it is well documented. So nobody can sit anywhere and concoct anything. The third thing that makes Islam unique is that it has a prophet that lived by the principles of Islam, that lived and was seen practicing Islam. So everything about Islam was practiced by this great prophet of Allah to serve as a role model for those who want to follow him. So whatever point you pick in Islam as a principle, the prophet lived by that principle, and it sets the standard and example for others to follow. So the Quran clearly declares in Surah Al-Ahzab, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. That in the prophet is a perfect example for anyone who believes in Allah on the day of judgment. Point number 4. Islam is a very realistic religion. And I'm citing only 2 examples. Point number 1, marriage. Islam says that zina is haram. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. وَسَاءَ السَّبِيلِ, that never get close to fornication, for it is an evil act and paves the way for all other evils. Then again, as the religion is recognizing, the Quran is recognizing that zina is haram. It does not say that man cannot have sex. Huh? Some religions are saying mankind, man, should stay celibate. You don't have to have sex at all. And of course we have a whole religion that does not allow some of these priests to marry and have sex. But sexual activity is ingrained in the human being. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked Islam to recommend that zina is haram, fornication, adultery haram, but marriage is halal. And it should be facilitated for people to have it. That is realistic approach. Islam also recognizes that man has the inbuilt, innate quality to possess. Everybody wants to say, this thing is mine. So Islam realistically says, yes, you can look for wealth, but use good means. Use good means, and when you acquire it, also. So the method should be good. The method in looking for wealth should be good, and the purpose that it serves should also be good. So the Prophet says, "Inna Allah tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyib." That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all good and will not accept anything from his servant except that which is good. Point number 5. Islam is the only religion that provides a comprehensive approach towards dealing with man. Islam addresses the body of the human being. It has to be nourished, Islam agrees, legally, legitimately. Islam calls on the mind to be well nourished through reading and learning. Of course, the first revelation to the Prophet says, "Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq." Read in the name of thy Lord who created. So, education, acquisition of knowledge, which will help the mind to get empowerment, is encouraged by Islam. And then Islam nourishes the spirit through worshipping of the Almighty, through unique faith in the Creator, because the spirit was and is a unique creature from Allah, and it gets its nourishment and food through the word of Allah. Point number 6. Islam is the only religion that provides remedies for the unending sicknesses that continue to afflict the human race. The power or the quest for wealth, the quest for power, the quest for pleasure, and the quest for unwarranted competition, which finds expression in envy and hatred. In all these, the Quran simply states, كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. That everything you see in creation, if it is power you are looking for, you either lose it or you die and live it. If it is wealth, it either leaves you or you live it. If it is women or men you are running after, a time will come you'll be physically incapacitated, so much so that even if a woman is given to you, you cannot approach the person. And if it is unwarranted competition, which leads to envy and hatred, that's disturbing the spirit. The Prophet says, إِنَّ الْحَسَدَ تَأْكُلُ الْحَسَنَاتِ كَمَا تَأْكُلُ النَّارُ الْحَطَبَ. That envy clears away all the good deeds of the servant of Allah, just like the way fire eats away firewood. So in all these sicknesses, The Quran provides a remedy by saying that everything in this world is passing away, including your good self and mine. Including your good self and me. Number 7. This religion called Islam has an inbuilt unique arrangement for expressing the spirit of brotherliness. In Quran chapter 49, Allah says, "Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa," that all believers are brothers. That is why, in the history of humanity, the incident I'm going to talk about has never been heard of anywhere in the history of man. When the Prophet migrated to Medina, the people who migrated from Mecca to Medina were called Muhajirun. They were strangers. And those who were in Medina were called Ansar. Those who migrated from Mecca left their properties, everything they had in this world, some of them their wives and families, and migrated to get a new settlement where they could worship their Lord well. So the Prophet had to initiate what we call unique brotherliness. In this state of expression of unique brotherliness, the Prophet brought together some individuals and established brotherliness among them. For example, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was, tied up to another person, Zayd bin Thabit to another person, Ali bin Abu Talib to another person. So that was how it was done. And if the person who was residing in Medina had more than one wife, he would have to divorce the wife, the other wife. If he had about 4, we divorce about 1 or 2, and the new people, Muhajirin, who had come to Medina, will marry them. Even to the extent that if a person had 3 trousers or 2 shirts, he will give away some to the brother that had been tied up with him. I ask, in the history of humanity, where have we come across such a unique incident of expression of brotherliness? And interestingly, it is this spirit of brotherliness that actually converted a young boy, a young person I taught in the early 80s. He was a Catholic. He traveled up north, and then he could not return to Kumasi, so he had to spend the night in Navrongo. He went to the Imam and faked up Islamic identity. You know what he did? He told the Imam, "I'm a Muslim. I came from Kumasi and I don't have a place to sleep. I have to travel tomorrow morning." The Imam summoned his wife and said, "Give this young man a place to sleep, provide him with a meal this evening. He's traveling back to Kumasi tomorrow morning." And the young boy mentioned his name as Mahmoud. Meanwhile, his name was not like that. He was a Catholic. Then it was time for prayers, Maghrib time. And the person was not a Muslim. So he went and sat by the mosque, waiting for Muslims to come and perform ablution, then he would follow suit, which he did anyway. Isha, he did the same thing. Then the following morning, the Imam bid him goodbye. He came back to Kumasi. When he got to Kumasi, he came straight forward to me. I used to be called Master Ishaak. He said, "Master Ishaak, I want to be a Muslim. I never knew this religion is great with this spirit of brotherliness and support." Number 8, this religion is unique because it frees the individual from superstition. Because when you believe in Allah, the heart becomes free from fear of any force apart from the Almighty. Haven't you heard of people going to Malams, of people going to Asafwa, of people going to fetish priests. There are people who believe in superstition. They don't have their freedom. But when you believe in Allah, anything that comes your way, you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That to Allah, from Allah we came, and to Him we will return. Then the self becomes free from any form of superstitious belief which will torture the self and will not give it its freedom. Point number 9. Islam is a unique religion because it spiritually empowers the self to be on its own and pray directly to the Almighty Allah. This religion encourages its followers to learn how to pray and to do the prayer themselves. You don't have to go and pay money to malams and so on and so forth. You yourself and I myself wake up at night 2 a.m. when everybody is asleep, perform only 2 rak'ah and put your case before the Creator. As-Sami'ul Alim, the all-hearing, the all-knowing. For He Himself says, "Ud'uni astajib lakum," that call on me, I will respond. And the Prophet says, "Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil-ijaba," that pray to Allah and have firm conviction that Allah will answer your prayer. So we pray directly to the Almighty without any intermediary. This is an honor. This is found only in Islam. Point number 10. Islam is unique because it was the first religion to empower women. Even though we sit down because we don't read a lot about this religion, we allow the women feminist movements to bully Muslim women. Islam was the first religion to say that men and women are equal before the Almighty. But they are not the same. They are equal but not the same. Number 2, Islam gave woman a voice in the choice of a partner. You can't force a woman into marriage. It's haram in Islam. Islam was the first religion to allow a woman to own property. Islam was the first religion to allow a woman to express her opinion. Let me give just one example on this point. Umar ibn Khattab preaching in the mosque in Medina and realizing that dowries have been skyrocketing. So he decided to put a seal on the amount of money that should be paid in the form of a dowry. Then a woman in the mosque, you know, dowry, you can't fix it. You can't fix it. But there are principles. Because the Prophet says that the woman whose marriage will be blessed is the one whose dowry is minimal. On another narration, the preparations are very minimal. That is within the reach and the capability of the bridegroom. So this man was aware of this point. So she got up and said, Allah and His Messenger are giving to us the dowry, the freedom to choose whatever amount we want. And Umar is stopping us. Umar was then the emperor, the head of the Islamic Empire, speaking in a mosque, and a woman expressing her freedom of expression in this manner. Where will you get this? In this modern age, you'll be arrested. And listen to the response of Umar. Umar said, لَقَدْ أَخْتَ أَصَابَتِ الْمَرْأَةِ وَأَخْتَ Umar. Then Umar said, the woman is right and Umar is wrong. I'm only giving highlights. Then finally, point number 11. Oh, I think this is point number 11. I still have 12 here. Point number 11, the way parents are supposed to be handled. In the West, when parents are old, because the Quran says, وَمِنْكُمْ مَنْ يُرَدُّ إِلَىٰ أَرْذَلِ الْعُمَرِ, that some of you will return to the point where he started from. أَرْذَلِ الْعُمَرِ, that the father or mother will grow so old, so much so that the person looks like a small baby. Huh? The person defecates, he sits in it, urinates, she's in it, you know, that kind of stuff. That is the end of man. In the West, when an elderly person assumes that conditions or situation, they have a place they call home for the aged. They will dump them there and get workers to take care of them. When a person grows old, hitting 18, 90 years, defecates while sitting, urinates, cannot even eat well, that person needs emotional attachment to his or her children. But the West, they will dump them in homes. Their children will not even see them. They are not even bothered. Islam is unique and says, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. That your Lord has decreed that you worship none except Him and be kind to your parents. So if they are old, they have to stay with you. If they defecate, take it off, cleanse it, because every single work you do on the old man or the old woman, you get bountiful blessings. And because of this point, a lot of people are reverting to Islam in the West. Because if in the West they realize, my father has been dumped, it means I'm also going to be dumped. So let me accept the religion that will educate my children to take good care of me when I'm old. So people are coming to Islam because of this point. And the last point, which shows the uniqueness of Islam, is from the mouth of a man who was once the Prime Minister of Great Britain. Glasgow in 1896, stood in front of Parliament and said, I want you to do 3 things for me. Said, number 1, you know, every year Muslims go to Mecca. Find a way of reducing the numbers that go there. Because when they go there, they get empowerment. They become more united. Those were the days of colonization. And then Salatul Jum'ah, Friday prayers. Every Friday they all congregate into a mosque, listen to the khutbah. And their spirits are reignited, empowered to work for Islam. And then finally, find a way of tearing the Quran into pieces. And one of the MPs took a copy of the Quran and started tearing it into pieces physically. And Glasgow said, you are acting stupidly. You're tearing it physically. Don't you know that this book is in the hearts and minds of millions of people? If you ban all the Quran, copies of the Quran in this world, the following the Muslims will produce new ones. That is not what I want. What I want you to do in all the lands occupied by Britain, Muslim lands, is that make sure, let Muslims love the world so that they stay away from the Quran. Because so long as they live by the teachings of the Quran, they become more powerful and we can defeat them. If you have diamond and you do not know it, you might think it is a stone. This religion given to us by Allah is a unique religion. And you and I should count ourselves very lucky to belong to a religion that is absolutely unique in the way it does things. May the Creator touch your hearts and protect all of you, wives and children, to be good Muslims and die as good Muslims. May Allah's blessings be upon you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.